So dealing with difficult people. So that's the topic today. So we'll dwell on that. Yeah. So if it is possible for us to be like this, when people around us suddenly through difficulties make us difficult to deal with them, then if it is possible for us, it's wonderful. Like Gandhian's three idols, he can say, which he recommended to us. If it is possible, it is wonderful, nice, fantastic, but not all are privileged to be like this. We need to deal with people who are around us, with us, and who throw tantrum at us, difficulties, making our life not so easy, which we wanted. Yeah. So we need to respond or react to situations. Yeah. And I would like to quickly run through what Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who lived in the first century, I think, about 2000 years before, what he gave about difficult people, which was really fascinating for me about 20 years before I read it, which gave me a lot of peace of mind when I was undergoing some difficulties with some people. Yeah. He says, be prepared, be on guard that you may be meeting difficult people when you start the day. It's not that you're going to have a smooth day and then suddenly you meet with difficulty and so you're going to have problems. Be on guard. So he says, people I meet today are going to be difficult. They may be meddling, they may be ungrateful, they may be arrogant, they may be unfriendly, they may be unkindly. So I may be meeting all these people. In spite of that, I'm going to be in good terms with them. So he says, be prepared to meet unkindly people. So set your expectations right is what Marcus Aurelius says. And then when you meet with difficult people, people who put you to pressure, unhappiness, whatever, according to which comes as difficulty, do not compete with them, which is adding fuel to fire which is happening in you. So do not compete with them. You need to choose an alternate way. Yeah. And he says, broaden your identity. Instead of puny individual, embrace that person who is causing identity, he says. It's very esoterical to say, I would say, even I'm not capable of doing it, but still he says, broaden your identity. That means you are a part of a common humanity. Even a person doing harm to you is a part of you. That means a part of you is harming another part of you. That means expand your identity towards humanity altogether. And so, like Swami Vivekananda says, suffering has greater power than indulgence. Swami Viji says, Vivekananda says, and Bharat proved its power by suffering, he says. Yeah. While West proved its power by indulgence or aggression, whereas in India, our sages, saints have given us by suffering, we have established our power and supremacy and gain, he says. So Marcus Aurelius says that broaden your identity. Do not be a puny single individual. Embrace that person. You can outgrow the difficulty that you face with that person. Do good anyway. Even when people do good anyway, he says. And overcome the distress. Nevertheless, people causing any difficulty to you, people who throw anger at them, who throw their ugliness on you, definitely internally there'll be a response. We'll be fuming internally. Maybe we'll be feeling uncomfortable. We'll be distressed. Suffocation could be there. Find a way to overcome that distress. So this is what Marcus Aurelius gives now. Not only Marcus Aurelius, even our Thiruvalluvar says, the saint poet says, Inna Saidare Uruttal Avarnan and Anayam Saidi Vidal. Punishment to those who do harm is doing good in return, putting them to shame. Thiruvalluvar says, Noyellam, Noy Saidar Melavam, Noy Saidar, Noy in my Vendubavar. No harm is done by peace lovers, for pains rebound on pains givers. Anybody causing pain to you, they will be facing pain in their own life as a karma theory. So you don't have to do any inflict harm on them. You need to only mean good to them and be quiet, he says. So all these at the philosophical level or at the overhuman level is one thing is there, but humans we are, and maybe we need to find a way to deal with it. And it's something like this, difficulty from others. I think there is one. I had one more thing anyway. Okay. So difficulty from others. If it is one-time affair or is it settled affair? One-time affair is somewhere you go and suddenly somebody causes pain to you. That you go, maybe you go to a department store to buy something and the salesperson over there is causing you some trouble to you. maybe crude reply, maybe unkindly words that the person throws. So at that point of time, you can choose to ignore, or you can choose to involve yourself, sort out. That's up to you. These are all unexpected one. Go by your gut instinct at the point of time. I would say whatever that comes to you, just respond. Feel appropriate to shout back, fight back, prove your point, do it, and then maybe you can course correct later. But one-time affair, any difficulty from others, maybe somebody shouting at you, somebody is causing trouble to you, somebody is causing pain to you, whatever it is, anything that comes a difficulty, if it is one-time affair, you can choose to ignore, or you can involve and sort it out. That's up to you. But what is more bothering for us than one-time affair is the settled affair. People who are around us, maybe a spouse, maybe a colleague, maybe your colleague, or maybe someone with whom you have to deal with every day. When people who are in the close vicinity in terms of your profession or personal life, that is where if the difficulty comes on a daily basis, a real problem starts for us, and that is where a matter of concern. So if there is a settled affair, then you can, if they are directly controllable, for example, children causing trouble. So parents just give a beating or keep quiet. Or if the husband is strong enough, he beats the wife and makes her control her. Like how it happened during COVID, during COVID, a lot of domestic violence surfaced. They could not coexist. So if wife is more powerful, then she may perhaps contain the husband and keep quiet. Like a joke goes, husband and wife, they go to buy a dog, and the husband warns the wife, be careful. The dog seems to be very ferocious. How are you going to manage? Wife said, keep quiet. Remember how you were during marriage, at the time of marriage. Now how do you behave? I know how to control. Don't say that. So if something is directly controllable, obviously you're going to exercise your power, authority, whatever tricks and control. But real issue comes when they are not controllable, meaning maybe a boss, maybe your own spouse with spouse own needs and moods and power that you can't directly access or control. Maybe like in typical families, in-laws, so wherever you can't exercise direct choice, but then you'll have to put up with. Or unkindly people in the government department as you go, or wherever you go. There are people, missionaries, then they're uncontrollable, but then they cause pain to you. How to deal with them, that's a real issue we're going to talk today. Now, karma theory says, according to Indian karma theory says, if you are leading a cozy life, blessed with comfort, love, relationship, material, money, then you are borrowing from the world. So you need to pay back in equal measure. Only then you will be released from even the golden chain bond. Yes, to lead a very luxurious life, relaxed life is a blessing, no doubt, honor, but yet from the spiritual angle, when you want to get released, then whatever comfort you're enjoying today, whatever benefits you're enjoying today, please pay back to the society so that you are released from this bondage of golden chain. And in case you are undergoing difficulties or misfortune, an unforeseen tragedy, whatever that happens, it says, karma theory says, feel blessed. It's a reframing, is what we say in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. You are blessed that you dissolve your bad karma of the past, because whatever is the cause is the effect you're experiencing in life. Every day, every event is happening as a resultant, as an effect of a past cause which caused by us. So if you are facing difficulty in the current life in any form, it is a blessing that you are dissolving your bad karma of the past, and you will be released to lead a very blissful life. So unless we reframe our mind in this fashion, we won't get released from the difficulties that you're undergoing. If it is controllable, you're going to control, but not controllable, then this is the way we need to make an internal adjustment so that we are not imprisoned by the difficulties and we can release the brakes and move forward. An American philosopher, Ralph Waldo Emerson says, we all boil at different degrees. It's not others throwing difficulty at us. By some way, very innocently or unintentionally, we may be also causing difficulties to others, which we come to know when they express or later through somebody as a feedback. But all of us are having a boiling point, and we boil at different degrees. Only the degree varies, but nevertheless, everyone is giving difficulties and receiving difficulties equally. So that brings the question, what is difficult? Sorry. So the difficulty, the definition varies from person to person. It's very subjective. What is your definition of a difficult person or a difficult situation? All depends on the individual's awareness, experience, capacity to handle, and confidence with, sense of certainty with it. So it varies. When I was a child, walking out of the house was a very, very tough task. But now it's not like that. Whenever my wife shouts at me, just walk out of my house and then go somewhere and come back. So walking out. So difficulty handling handling people, or when you go to a new job, that atmosphere is new, so difficult initially, but then once you get acquainted, it becomes easier. Like the joke again goes, a man went to an astrologer, and the astrologer saw the horoscope, and then he said, I'm sorry, bad times have started for you now. For the next 3 years, I think you're going to have a very, very tough time. Very tough time going to have. I'm sorry, it's a pity. And there is no way that you can alleviate the difficulty. You will have to live through it. There's no choice. It's very tough. 3 years. After that, you will get used to it. That's the only way, he says. Same way, difficulty is very subjective. So what appears as difficult, once we adjust ourselves, maybe we outgrow that and then we come to live with it. For example, now Corona, same time last year, it was symptoms of alarm was there. Last February 2020, we never knew we were going to have suffered lockdown throughout. Hints were there, the Corona pandemic were there. Suddenly, March came, everything came to a standstill. Even the world came to a standstill. Initially, it was very difficult for us. Then later, everything subsided. Now, gradually, now we are relaxing, limping back to or coming back to our activities. Now, online classes now, this webinar, I never thought of doing webinar at all prior to 2020, or even when the beginning of Corona period, when Mr. Prasad of ProSynix was suggesting to me of doing webinar, I was wondering how a training program like this can be conducted online, was my thinking. Anyway, now, initially what was difficult, I now adjusted myself to presenting myself. So difficulty is subjective. So it is different from person to person. So difficulty is a perceptual reality. That means how we perceive a context or situation is difficult or not so difficult. That's the only way we need to say. There is nothing like fixed permanent difficulty in life. There's nothing like fixed permanent difficulty. Difficulties are words that we describe to our experience in a particular context, and what is difficult to one person may be easy for another person. Yet, difficulty for a difficult person is difficulty, and we need to acknowledge that. Just because now, maybe now talking in a public forum is easy for me because I'm a professional speaker. So I can just talk on any topic just like that over there. Whether there is substance or no substance, I can manage talking. That's easy for me. And for someone who is not acquainted with public speaking, maybe find it difficult. So I should not say or laugh at the person that, oh, it's all easy. Yeah. No, don't worry. I should not approach like that. So we need to acknowledge the difficulty of the person, because difficulty is a perceptual reality more with the emotions and feelings of the person than with the the tangible concrete evidence outside. It's more perceptual, so we need to acknowledge it. So difficulty is not a perpetual reality. We all know in life people pass through difficulties, easy times comes, again difficulties can come in another form, again we outgrow that. Like how the pandemic situation now, we had difficulty and now we outgrown that, things are happening. So difficulty is not a perpetual reality. Difficulty is totally contextual. So if we can sorry, if you can understand this, that difficulty is not a permanent reality, it is just a temporary in a particular context. And if you can learn to outgrow it, there are ways to outgrow it. Yes, you can overcome it. And we know a lot of sayings, motivation quotes are there. Difficulty is an opportunity to develop your skills, to prove your mettle, or to make you stronger. God does not give difficulty to you without the power to handle. All those statements are made to empower us to handle difficulties. Yeah. So difficulty is purely a perceptual reality. If the person says it is difficult, it is that person's perception of the context or the person which makes it difficult. So easily saying, now if you have the ability to handle the situation, then it becomes easy for you. If you feel you are unable to handle, then it becomes difficult. Whether it is skill, by way of skill, or by way of your perception of your ability. Yeah. So if I perceive my ability to be less than what I can handle, if I perceive, it's perception, so subjective reality, I should say, then I feel it difficult. So if you have the ability to handle, it becomes easy. If you feel you are unable to handle, then it becomes difficult. So there is nothing like permanent difficulty, permanent easiness. It's all contextual, relational, relative. Yeah, only relatives are difficult in life, Yeah, okay. Now, what is difficult? What is it about you that makes difficult to deal with difficult people or tough situations? There is something in you that makes it difficult for you. It could be explicitly evident or may not be evident, but a person who causes difficulty to you, or a context or situation that is causing difficulty to you, is not there to cause you difficulty. It is there as it is, or the person is there as the person is. It is your understanding, something in you which says it is difficult. Yeah. But here only I would like to suggest it to you. Now, I recently found Enneagram is a wonderful tool that can uncover the blocks within you to attain what you want to attain in life. Oftentimes we miss our mark or goal, not because the goal is difficult or far-fetched or beyond our capability. Most of the time it is our internal blocks, our own self-imposed limitations, which stop us from moving forward, like keeping one leg on acceleration and another leg on brakes. Whereas Enneagram releases the brake and keeps the acceleration at an even keel that you're able to reach your goal much easier. Same way, difficulties are somewhere your own self-imposed limitation somewhere that has given you this difficulty, and you can, using Enneagram, release those brakes and reach whatever. Any difficult situation in life, you can overcome it. That's a wonderful tool. Maybe you can contact me later on that. I can discuss with you on that. Yeah. So difficulties are something in you which makes it difficult. Identify and move forward. You can certainly handle difficult situations, difficult people, and become stronger and brighter. So we come to dealing with difficulties, which is the experiential reality in our life. So from that angle, now difficult people, those who are tough, or those who are argumentative, or those who are rigid. So we'll bring difficult people under these three clauses. Yeah, this is how normally we define difficulty, right? Okay. So how do you typically respond in tough situations? Think for a moment. And this is how normally we respond. One is aggressive. Anything happens, somebody is fighting with you, comes to fight with you, makes an argument with you, or fails in their response to you, they don't meet your expectations, they put you down, insult you, then we become aggressive. And that aggression would be expressed in terms of immediate fight, shouting, or some way, the response would be given. And we regret after the event has happened, why at all it happened to be something like that. So either we aggressively put forth our point and take it head on and fight with the person, one. Or the other one is avoidance. If we feel that the person is more powerful than us, or not worth doing at that point of time, or circumstances that prevented you, maybe we avoid it. Let me find some way. Or because you feel that you don't have the power at that point of time to handle, words don't come easily. You're not able to put forth your point, fearing the consequences perhaps, or what can happen. Or perhaps you are taken aback. No, the person whom I believed to be trustworthy, whom I believed to be my mentor or a guru or my person or respectable person with whom I confided a lot about my life, is that person now causing this trouble for me? My God, how can I? So such a shock could make you fumble for words and express yourselves. Anything can happen. So these are the ways normally people, or what we say is fight or flight syndrome. That's what we say, fight or flight. So either we aggressively respond or we avoid it. Okay. And there are other ways that we respond. Sometimes we negotiate. Okay, what is the problem? What needs to happen? What do you want me to do? Why are you behaving like that? So somewhere you enter into dialogue with the person and bring the situation to normalcy. That's how we try. Or find a ways, okay, win-win for you, for me, like how we do in this bargaining there, how much is the flour now? A odd is 50 rupees. 50 rupees? No, I wanted 30. No, okay, so, okay, come to 40. Okay, 45. Or how the bargain in autos here. So win-win. Somewhere we come to a consensus and move forward. Okay, instead of being tough, okay, let us go. So somewhere you come into a win-win context. That's how we deal with tough situations. What is the best that can be done? Or we yield it. What to do? We go to a government department for work to done, and they say that unless you pay this much X amount, things can't be done. You can't be fighting, because for you, the larger purpose demands that you need to get the job done in 1 month time. If you don't oblige to this demand of this person, which is unruly, unethical, still what you do? Okay, let me give in. Let me not fight with the fellow. Or often it happens at police, on the road. Even though you have all the documents at the point of time, you can't fight with the police because he may put some other case and then book you and then charge you. So we give in, walk away. It's okay, one time, okay, not every day, okay. So somewhere we give in. So that's how we deal with difficulties. And the common thing is anger, because anger is an expression that comes to us when our expectations are not met. This is quite natural, because NLP says behind every behavior, there's a positive intention. So every emotion has got an intention behind it, purpose behind it. Normally in any tough situation, anger is what comes. Either the person causing difficulty expresses anger, or you in turn show your anger for something which is not happening as per expectation. So anger comes up. Whether it's right or wrong is different. And anger is right or wrong based on the consequence of anger. That's how we measure the appropriateness of anger, or any emotion for that matter. Any emotion for that matter, either you express your emotion or withhold your emotion based on the possible consequence you foresee. Yeah. But then it's natural that people get angry inside. Yeah. So at that point of time, these are the ways that we can intelligently exercise our choice to get out of difficulty and get to know the ways to handle is negotiate directly. Talk to the person head on. What is it about a situation that bothers you? Why are you shouting at me? Okay, I did not come at 7:30 today. It's okay, I have not come. Reasons are many. But why are you shouting at it? You could have asked me coolly what made me come late. You could have asked me, but why are you shouting at it? Either you can talk like that, or what is it is bothering about you by my coming late? So like that, you can initiate a dialogue with the person is ready to listen. Normally people, initially they may shout, but then gradually, when you don't compete with them, when you shout back, when you don't pitch them and only reason out, gradually they may tone down their voice, tame down to talking across the board. Yeah. So what is it about a situation that bothers you? Or what is truly important to you now? Okay, now I have not done what you wanted me to do. I understand now. But what is truly important to you? What needs to be done? Tell me, please. Yeah, I'm not done. You are shouting at me. I'm sorry about it. But what is truly important to you? So we can ask and pin down. Or how can we meet your needs while also making sure I do my job right? What is it that I can do? We can ask like that. Tell me more so that I can understand. Someone is shouting, keep on saying something. A lot of words are being filled in, express their emotion. Please say, I'm sorry. Please tell me more in precise terms so that I can understand what you want. I'll do it. If I can't do it, at least I know to whom can I relate or to whom can I go so that I can meet your need. Something like that, you can talk it out to the person. That's one way of dealing it, of when somebody is difficult to handle or throws tantrum at you. Now, how we treat each other is largely a product of how we feel about each other. This is a fact of life. Now, people deal with us not as we are. People deal with us as they perceive who we are. It's a fact of life. I deal with the person based on my past experience with the person and the conclusion I draw about the person. Or the impression that I get about the person at the time of meeting. So this is how it is. Any payment vendor, we need to bargain. That is how we have. They may cheat, so we need to bargain with them. Only then things can happen. So we go with a fixed mind based on past experience or by taught by people others. Nevertheless, in human interaction, we treat each other largely based on how we feel about the person, either at that time or as taught to us by others or currently or the previous experience. So we don't go by the current reality of how the person is, but always based on we are always programmed by the past. It's a fact of life. So when someone is tough to you, perhaps, please be open to this possibility. Somewhere in you, you have caused a situation or hint in you which makes them behave toughly with you. So if you are open for feedback and want to sit right on both sides, then you need to be open to find out what is in me that is blocking me or making me project in a wrong way that the other person responds in a bad way. So you need to be open for feedback, or you need to be open for introspection and self-awareness. If you are absolutely right, then it becomes really clear in your mind. Then you can always deal with the other person. Initially, first, always take the onus on you. If somebody close to you is always behaving in a very tough manner, difficult manner, talks in an unpalatable tone, then check initially what is in me that is giving a feel to other person that he or she is talking in that way or dealing in that way, behaving in that way. What is it that I can do? First, take all the parameters, give the benefit of doubt to the other person, and you check a way to correct yourself. Of course, for all these, a lot of systems are there. Now, Ho'oponopono is saying one way, self-forgiving is another way. A lot of ways are there that we are not going to deal with that. But nevertheless, if someone is suddenly behaving toughly with you, in an unhumanly way, we can say, inhumanly way, we can say, then check within you if are you giving any clue, are you giving any reason? If not, then we can know what ways to deal with. And at least by conscience, you'll be very clear that I am not the reason. So how else can I deal with it? Otherwise, we'll feel bogged down, imprisoned, disempowered, and life becomes a hell continuously. That means we are totally yielding to their trauma and drama, that we become prisoner of their circumstances, and we have no way to get release of it because we have no control over their behavior. We have all the control only about how I think or how I behave. You have only control over your thinking process, your behavior process, your response process, not others. You have no control over that. It's a circle of concern, like how Stephen Covey says. Circle of influence is you have fullest control over your thought or your behavior. So what adjustment can you do internally that you can contain the other person is what one way. What our Hindu tradition says about tapasya, by tapas, we are able to overcome difficulties of life is what one side says. That's about it. But nevertheless, in any difficult situation, first look within, am I the reason? If I'm not, then you'll be clear, you'll be armed with power, and we can deal with other alternate ways, taking help from others also. So how we treat each other is largely a product of how we feel about each other. And then we'll come to understanding difficult people. As on a broad base I'm giving, because difficult people, they come in different shapes, size, color, and tone. And I need to find out how a difficult person is in what form and thing. It's only for the purpose of a webinar understanding on a broad base, some category is given. Nevertheless, each of us, if we face difficult people, how difficult are they? In what form are they? How intense are they? Their intention, motive, we need to figure it out. So on a broad base, we will deal it. So there are 7 types of difficult people psychologists have categorized. Aggressives, complainer, then the unresponsive silent people, pleasers, negativists, know-all, and indecisive. These are 7. We'll quickly see each one category. Yeah, aggressives are people who are abusive, abrupt, blunt. They try to overpower others. They explode, even exploit it, and they attack individuals, their behavior and personal characteristics also. They just go hell. They talk in an unrestrained way. Aggressives. Encroaches, we can say. They're very abrasive in their character, in their nature. Yeah? Aggressives. Complainers. For them, they keep on complaining about anything and everything. Systems are not all right, things are not all right. Did not do like this, or like this. Oh, society has gone bad, people have gone bad. This was not like that. You have seen people. Now they keep on complaining of anything about everything. That means they have no confidence in anything around them because they have no confidence in them. That's the bottom line. Because all this, the unconscious drive, maybe you can uncover in Enneagram, but I'm just sharing here. Complainers, these people they keep on complaining about anything and everything. Nothing is right for them. Things have to be perfect. According to them, things are not perfect now. It should be like this. It should have been like this. I wouldn't have done like that. Why have you done? If you give responsibility, they may not do it. But after you complete it, they may say a lot of things that what has gone wrong. Or you ask them to do something right, they'll say, no, I don't know. But what has gone wrong, I can tell you. Like how the famous political critic, Cho Ramaswamy, who died about 2 years before. So he's a critic, political critic. So he used to criticize every party. So one question was asked to him, you've been complaining about every party, right? Okay. Why can't you start a political party and run it in the way ideally and run the nation? He said, no. I can only say egg is rotten. I cannot lay egg. That's the answer he gave. I can only say egg is rotten. I don't have the capacity to lay an egg, he said. So complainers only complain. They not only complain. Yeah. And response is silent. Very dangerous people, potential. Yeah. Silent killers they are. You cannot make out what they are up to. Anything and everything they say, mutely they'll be there. At the same time, they will do what they want to do. Non-responsive in one way. At least shouters, they express, and we come to know that these people silently they do. Not out of confidence that they're silent about it. It's more that they lack the ability to express. At the same time, discreetly or indiscreetly, they keep doing what they want to do, which becomes a potential danger and causes danger also. Yeah. A lot of examples are there anyway. So their silence is a form of passive aggression. Pleasers, another dangerous people. Anything you say, they'll say, yeah, it can be done. Any work, it will be done. It will be done. Yeah, I'll do it. Oh, it's okay, I'll do it. But they will not do it. That's the problem. Just their only job is to please at that point of time. Okay, when you catch them not doing, they'll say, you know very well, I'm in such a difficulty. In fact, I really wanted to tell you this. And you know what happened? Again, they come into apology and then they'll say, next time, sorry, sir, I will not do. So they will never take responsibility for not doing or doing it. Only thing they'll try to only please over. It will be a pain at the point of time, definitely. So there are pleasers. They are also difficult people to handle. Not only people who are aggressive shouting, and pleasers. Negativists. They can only pinpoint negatively. Anything you say, no, that won't work. No, it can't be done. Like we used to say in sales, conference. You tell me how much we need to do, then I'll tell you why we can't do. That's how the sales people will say in a conference, sales conference. This year we want to achieve really more. The sales guy will say. The one man will say, sales guy will say, you tell us how much we need to do this year, then I'll tell you why we can't do. So they are only negatives. It's not possible. Yeah, it may work in your area, it may not work in my area. Even you give a lovely suggestion to them that this is the way you can handle negative people. It may work for you, but I think it may not work for me because I'm a difficult type. They will only back out like this. So negativists often find they'll talk negative tone. Yeah, they are also painful in the whole operation of human interaction to get things done. Know all. Talk to them, they'll keep on talking. That I know. Handling difficult people, yeah, I know. Yeah, see, I've been, no. They'll keep on talking about all that they have read under know all, and they'll keep on talking. You talk about Aadhaar card, you want to say something about Aadhaar card, no? Have you, Aadhaar card? They'll keep on talking. That means they are poor listeners and they keep on talking, throw a lot of information, necessary, not necessary, and that sometimes they may even deviate from the whole purpose of interaction and move away. They may lose sight of focus and they can be a distractor in the process. Especially in teamwork environment or collective work and all, know all people are distractors. They may not be knowing. Like if I'm just quickly recalling a story, A fox met a cat, and then the fox asked the cat, "How is life in the forest?" Cat said, "It's really tough for me. When I see any big animal, especially tiger, the only way I know is to just quickly climb this tree and then go to the top before the tiger could spot. This is the only tactics I know." Fox said, please come to tuition with me. I have hundreds of techniques and tools how to hide yourself, how to escape from wild animals. As the fox was saying, suddenly a tiger would come, cat would escape, climb up the tree and then hide itself. Whereas fox, knowing thousand tricks, what to do, in its confusion, it will delay and then the tiger would come, give a beating and walk away. So no all people are confused. They can only keep on talking about anything and everything, sensibly or non-sensibly also. These are also one type of difficult people that you handle. You have to pin them down. Indecisive. Yeah. So they postpone, indecisive. Since they are unsure of themselves, not sure of even others, neither they believe nor they believe other. Reasons could be many things. It could be their past experience in their life, whatever it is. As I said, the unconscious drive could be anything. They are not working on that. Why they are difficult? I'm only stating. So indecisive are other people. Again, they are tough to handle. So what are the ways out? Yeah. So when you deal with aggressive people, the only way is you should not compete with them. Stay calm. Let them pour out whatever they want to do. Again, yeah, thank you very much. I'm sorry I made you to behave like this. Now tell me what can be done. So focus on the purpose again. Get back to the object. Maintain good eye contact. This reminds me, one the Mahout said, when they tame elephants are good to behave with human beings. What he says was, any point of time when the Mahout gives gives hint to the elephant that he is slightly afraid, elephant would hit him. He says that means all the time Mahout should exude or express confidence and in front of elephant. Aggressive people, when you maintain a good eye contact with them, they know that this person is assertive, I think confident, I think I may tone down, let me deal with the person. Yeah. So that way the feeling that he gets is, okay, I'm going to deal with a strong person only. So that way when you maintain good eye contact, you can bring them around and ask them what they want to be done. And if they are unreasonable in their demand, you say, I'm sorry, I may not be able to meet it. What can be done? Please. And then you'll have to leave it. This is one way to deal with aggressive people. Complainers. Whenever they complain, listen with attention. Just acknowledge what they say. You don't have to accept what they say. Just acknowledge what they say. Is it so? Is it so? Oh, okay. Is it so? And then ask them to give the complaint writing. Whatever it is. If it's about specifics or anything else, can you give it in writing so that I will register in my mind? They may not, because most of the time they will be airing their opinion as facts, and that they may refrain from doing it. So complainers like that. And if it is in a negotiation process, if the complainer is not honest enough, maybe you can bring in other person, third party mediation to resolve a problem. Never, never, never justify your stand to a complainer. Never offer explanation. Leave it. Because the more you offer, again, they'll find some hole in that, they'll start complaining. Yeah? And if it is possible, meet their needs. If not, say sorry and close the interaction. Dealing with unresponsive silent. Please do not fill in the silence with the conversation. That means do not keep talking because they are not talking. Ask questions. Wait till they open up. Because when you keep talking, again, they're going to be silent. So don't talk. Do not fill the silence with the conversation. Ask open-ended questions. Can I know on this? Whatever the topic that or subject we need to discuss, I would like to know. Can you talk? I'd be happy if you can really open up. I'm not going to judge or say anything, but I want to fully listen to you. Please believe me. So ask like that and ask open-ended question and ask them. Supposing they're not talking, ask what makes them non-responsive. Is anything stopping you from expressing? Are you facing any difficulty? Is something embarrassing? Or is it anything else that is difficulty that is stopping you from expressing? But I want you to talk. So ask what makes them non-responsive, or what needs to happen for them to respond. Is this place not comfortable for you to talk? Maybe can we go out somewhere? Or maybe tomorrow morning we will talk. Ask. Still, if they are closed and they are opening up, then politely in the interaction, I'm sorry, I think we'll talk later. So we'll have to walk out. There's no choice. Yeah. So dealing with unresponsive in this way. Dealing with pleasers. You know, they'll please anything. They're yes masters. They'll say yes master, yes master. So such people are only feel good people. They may not be. They may be unfocused. They may not be doing what they want. They're non-committal, or even they will not fulfill commitments. They may commit, but they may not fulfill the commitment. You know, it is not possible. Life is not. We don't have the luxury of leading life in the way we want life. It's not. You know, we need to really fulfill our needs and demands the situation around. So that way, if you meet with pleasers as difficult people, pin them down. Remind them of the objective. You'll have to make a close monitor and follow up with them on regular. Maybe micromanagement you have to do. Get commitment from them. And are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Can I expect tomorrow? Can you do it? Ask like that. Make them accountable. Only then you can deal with them, handle them. Deal with negative space. Never argue with them. Do not even reason out. But prove to them the past we have succeeded like that. Things in the past have happened like that. There is every reason we can expect that things can happen in the future also. There's nothing that has gone abruptly wrong for us to feel negative about it. So give evidences of the past, tell them that it's possible, and state what needs to happen. Fill your mind with those. Meaning, negative people express so much of negative energy that sometimes we may be feeling painful deal with them, that our energy may be sapped. So that way, feel internally stronger to deal with them. And in case they're not going to do it, you must be ready to do on your own. Yeah, dealing with negative people. And dealing with know-all people, pin them with pointed questions so that you contain their talk. Be alert to bring them back on track. Stay focused on the mission or the purpose of transaction interaction. Ask closed-ended questions, because binary question only can pin them. Otherwise, they'll keep on talking. Be ready to fill the gap in conversation. Yeah. In case they are not talking, then immediately you ask, and then supposing when they talk and there's a gap, immediately you barge in, you enter there. I'm sorry, yeah. Now come back. So bring in and then pull them down. Indecisives, make it easy for them to explain their conflict or problems. Because indecisives, more out of lack of confidence or low self-image, they do it. So you have to give them comfort. So make it easy for them to explain their conflicts or problems. Give them confidence you are with them. They need assurance. Monitor their progress and give them the feeling you are observing them. That means you're observing them means you are closely watching them, so that in case any difficulty, you are there to help them. Yeah. Ask more of closed-ended questions to make them committed. Can you do it? I think you can do it. So can you do it? Can I expect it? Ask like that, make them commit. This is the way you deal with indecisives. Yeah. Okay. Now the general thumb rule is that whenever you find it difficult, people who are difficulty, do not take their behavior personally. It is just the context in which the person is behaving. It is not the person wants to intimidate you. If it is that, then just allow the person to have their say, and then let them enjoy and walk away. So, but mostly people who cause difficulty to you are not intentionally causing difficulty to you. It is they are expressing their needs or wants in that context. For you, given your opportunity, experience, or needs at the point of time may appear difficult. So whatever happens at the point of time, depersonalize. Do not take behavior personally. This depersonalization relieves our mind from stress, and we are in a better position to handle the same situation. Yeah, like I know a woman, when the servant maid started using all abusive language, she mutely listened to her. I asked her, how come? No, I thought she's talking to somebody. I just quietly watched how she talks. I enjoyed her way of talking. I said, Mother, you're great. Of course, my friend's wife only. So I told her, much younger to me also, she's here. I told her, you are wonderful. I learned that from her. So he said, why should I? But from where have you learned it? I asked her. He said, from my mother-in-law. Whenever my mother-in-law says, I will only watch her, how she behaves, whatever she says. I will not fight back with her, she said. So do not take that behavior personally. Do not attempt to change them on the face of it. When you do it, play of ego will come, and then they'll try to prove they are right. So it can add fuel to fire. So you manage how you respond to them. So listen before speaking up carefully. Of course, listening oftentimes, lets the steam out of the person and then things can happen. Allow them to vent out. Define your boundaries and do not accept abuse. Know your limits, and then when they start abusing, either you contain them or close your mind, insulate yourself, or bring something else. Whatever at that point of prompts you, please do it, but do not accept their abuse as a fact of statement. Yeah. Try different approach, it works. That means permutation combination. There's no one foolproof way to fully do things. Like I jokingly say, but to me it's a fact that God, when He wants to wipe out adharma, keeps on taking avatar again and again. In one stroke, He could have wiped off adharma, but He has taken many forms, from fish to tortoise to dwarf to various avatars. He's taking various forms. So different approaches He makes to what of dharma. Now Kalki Bhagavan is going to come, they say. So we need to have permutation, combination, various approaches. Whatever that works, you need to follow. Kill them with kindness. Of course, this is cause of maturity, but that's the only way that we can at least secure our sense of self, peace, and identity. Because if you're going to fight back with them, we get lost in their play and we may lose our sense of identity. Somewhere, somehow, you need to strengthen yourself internally and then kill them with your kindness. And I remember one story from Sri Ramakrishna. Today is the birth centenary of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, birth anniversary of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Okay. So Sri Ramakrishna says in this, a monk crosses a river and he finds a scorpion struggling for life. So he goes to take the scorpion out, it comes to sting him, so he throws it out. Again, he goes to take it, he comes to hit him, he throws it out. Again and again it does. A passerby is asking the monk, why are you helping this poisonous creature? So you're going to help it, but it's going to come and sting you. He says, it's okay, only I'm afraid. It is its nature to sting me or hit me, whereas it's my nature to help it. Let me do my dharma, let it do its dharma, he says. What an amount of maturity. Anyway, we need to have that. We cannot pay back the same coin as they do it. It will only kill us. Like if you remember Marcus Aurelius' statement before, you need to be one above them. And by kindness, we can overcome evil, is the finding of sages and monks. If you can apply it, fantastic. Lastly, empathize with them. Feel pity for them and find out why they are behaving rudely or badly in the way. Is there anything that you can do, either directly dealing with them or through some other form, so they're able to contain their difficult behavior or approach in the context, and something you can do to overpower them in terms of not containing them, in terms of you becoming stronger internally to handle them. Because we can never do with difficulty in life. We can only do away with our suffering from others' difficulty. That is what our entire purpose is all about. Because we cannot change the world, but we can change our response to the world. That's a thumb rule that you all have been hearing. Okay. Now, handling boss, never prove your point to your boss. Boss is not always right, but boss is always boss. Give them the privilege of shouting, screaming, because you are paid to hear the shouting of your boss. When you accept that, then you'll be cool inside. It is his nature to shout, let him out. And do not personalize boss statement, and deliberately give room for improvement, so that he will say, you should have done this, no? Yeah, thank you very much. It is just to please him. It's nothing wrong about it. Boss management is wonderful, because it is important that you handle your boss. Only then you can succeed in your career. So universally, it's a fact of life. People leave the organization not because the organization is bad. People leave because boss is bad. It's a universal. So that way, when you want to handle your boss, give them the privilege of correcting you. Only then you can outgrow or get your promotion. If you prove you are smarter than your boss, you are out. That's a fact of life. Difficult colleagues, always assert your stand. Asserting, you know about assertion. If not, then maybe I can arrange another webinar on how to be assertive, aggressive, passive aggression. Those things I can share with you. But assert your stand, express your stand. Prepare for what can go wrong. In case of dealing with people on a regular basis, what can go wrong today? Like how Microsoft person says, what has gone wrong today? You'll say Bill Gates, as he walks into the office, okay, what has gone wrong today? He may not ask for what is right today. What has gone wrong today? So once he knows what has gone wrong and address it, whatever left is only what is easy to be done. So same way, prepare for what can go wrong. That can empower you to handle rest of the activities easily. Yeah. So that you will not be taken aback. And what can be changed, what cannot be changed must be endured. You have to bear it. There's no choice. And if the other person is incorrigible, then pray for good sense to prevail. That's the only thing you can do. You reason out, you explain, still the person is not changing. What can you do? You will have to simply pray for good sense to prevail and put up with the person till situation changes. I told you difficulty is contextual. Certainly, it is not permanent reality. Things can change. Okay. And if their ego is, then they want to be important, give them the importance. Make them feel important, acknowledge, hear whatever they say. Fantastic. Yeah, okay. And then make them feel happy. Things will be smooth for you. Never prove intelligence or never prove that you are also no. It's their ego that they like that. Give them, and then leave it. Like how we do with the child, child is not egoist, but then the child comes and says something, yeah, we acknowledge happily, make the child happier. Same with these people are grown-up child only in one form. So give them, treat them like a child and then leave it. Okay. Now, this is something very important that you can handle, hypnotic words. Now, if you see here, I know you is small letters, mean good is big letters, the font is bigger. Now, when somebody is talking in a very unpalatable way or a crude way, mean good when you say as a command, they may not like it. Whereas you can say, I know you mean good. So there's a past. I know you mean good. When you say that, subconsciously, it reaches them and the message reaches them. It may not be obvious on the cognitive level, but then it reaches them. So I know you mean good. I'm sure you will appreciate my positive intention. I'm sure you will appreciate my positive intention. See, there's a tonality difference is there. I'm sure you will appreciate my positive intention. You say like that, it reaches them and then not immediately, certainly it touches them and gradually, subsequently, they will start behaving appropriately. I know you want to talk sense. I know you want to talk sense. That means they are not talking sense. I know you want to talk sense. Talk sense is what you want to tell them. Instead of saying talk sense, I know you want to talk sense. When you say like that, these words can change them. I mean, there are a lot of hypnotic words. I'm just giving you only a gist here for you to understand. Whole lot, if you want, you can always contact me later and we can run a webinar on this also. How to influence people through words and subjective communication. If the person is not amenable for change at the surface level, at the conscious level, another way, especially this happens at the family level, husband is drunkard, behaving in an uncouth way, or wife is hysterical, behaving hysterical. I'm sorry to use the word, but then behaving hysterical way, shouting, or boss is shouting, a tough colleague, unreasonable. Instead of talking out to them, the other way is that bring their image in your mind and see them in your mind and then start communicating to them whatever you want to say. That I mean good to you, you mean good to me. I think you become all right. And you are able to communicate with me smoothly. We have harmony relationship. You understand what I'm saying. Like that, whatever you want the person to become, you start subjectively communicating. It works. It does work. It's called unconscious communication. It works in my case. I've applied in many places. It does work. In fact, with one police personnel in a police station, I applied this technique. It worked. Without paying a single paisa, I could make a guy come out of the jail imprisonment that has to happen. The guy did not do anything wrong, but then the police picked him up and put him in the station. He was there in the station. I went and then I was just sitting there and subconscious communicating to that sub-inspector who was there. It was night 1:30, and I communicating and suddenly the sub-inspector, sir, what do you want me to do? I said, release him. Okay, take him. This has worked. This is one case I'm saying. Like this, it has worked in many places. So if you cannot at surface level influence the person, talk it out to the person, do subjective communication, things works. Yeah. It's your confidence and conviction that makes a difference. So subconscious communication brings tough people tamed down to workable term. So with this, I conclude the webinar. Thank you very much.